Hello and welcome. So today I have for you 6 fragrances. But here's the thing. I'm sure that you've noticed that I've been introducing like new fragrance houses, not just to my collection, but obviously to the channel. And these are no different because these 6 fragrances are from 3 fragrance houses that are new, not just to my collection, but to the channel. Now, these had been on my wish list for quite a while. And when the So Avant-Garde team reached out to me, I thought, okay, these would be the fragrances that I would be interested in trying. So today I will be giving you a detailed review of each fragrance. And as I go along, I will tell you if they worked out for me or not, because 4 are really fragrances that I enjoy, but 2 of them I'm really shaky on, and I think they are going to be a hard pass for me. But let's go ahead and get started. But before we do so, if this is your first time here, I'm Arahi and I'm your fragrance concierge because I'm totally committed to creating the best fragrance experience for you. I upload videos multiple times a week, and on this channel, we love to talk about all types of fragrances. So if that sounds like the type of content that you're interested in and like a good plan, then please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget, leave a comment. Let's go. All right, so the first fragrance that I have for you is from a fragrance house by the name of Affinessence, and this one is Santal Basmati. Now, Affinessence is a fragrance house based out of France, and it was established in 2015 by Sophie Bruneau. Now, Sophie Bruneau is someone who has quite a bit of experience in the perfume industry. She was actually in the perfume industry for over 25 years before deciding to establish her own fragrance house. So this is a fragrance from one of the collections of Affinessence, and both of the fragrances that I'm going to be sharing with you today from this house are from the same collection. Now, the interesting part about this fragrance house, which is why I wanted to try their fragrances, is that they have 3 collections. The 3 collections are, number 1, the Top Notes collection, number 2, the Heart Notes collection, and the third one is the Base Notes collection. So as you can see, it's very different because in every fragrance, they focus like on 2 different main notes, and those notes are typically notes that you find either at the top, at the heart, or at the base of a fragrance. So I found that concept very interesting and decided that I really wanted to try them. Now, Santal Basmati is their top seller, so I definitely had to get my nose on it, and I am here to tell you that it was an immediate deep love. This is an exquisite fragrance that does focus, as the name says it, on the note of basmati rice and sandalwood. But at that, it also has some iris, some cashmeran, and patchouli. But let's talk about the journey of this fragrance, because even though it focuses on those 2 notes, the olfactory journey is quite impressive. So let me just start by saying that this is a very fragrant scent, and it almost borders like unsavory. It's not exactly savory, but it's very close to being completely savory. At that, the fragrance opens immediately to my nose with that basmati rice note. And I did not know that I enjoyed a note of rice until this fragrance, because this is totally new to me. So imagine how excited I have been. But the thing about this fragrance is that even though it is very fragrant and bordering on savory, there's a sensuality and an elegance and a sophistication and smoothness and refinement to the fragrance that I really can't explain, but that is definitely the vibe that you're going to get from it. So the fragrance, as I said, opens with that very present, very dominant note of rice, which is very clear to me. And then it follows like with a floral quality. I don't necessarily pick up on like a violet or an iris per se, but there is a floral quality to the fragrance. There's also like a milkiness that you're going to pick up as you approach the dry down. And I'm assuming that it's coming from like the note of basmati rice and that creaminess that sometimes the sandalwood brings to a fragrance. As you approach the dry down, there is also a tad of earthiness, which adds a ton of character to the scent itself. And I know that it's coming from the patchouli. The patchouli is really not very relevant as far as you being able to sniff it, as at least I don't, but I do get that tad of earthiness, and I really believe that it's coming from the patchouli. But at the dry down, you are going to get the most beautiful and like smooth, sensual, alluring scent that is definitely floral, but it does have a good bit of woodiness in the backdrop. So you're clearly going to identify those two notes and accords. But in addition to that, there's that note of basmati rice, which I clearly pick it up. And as I said before, at the dry down, you are going to get the woodiness, but the woodiness is like creamy. There's a touch of earthiness. And the dry down is definitely powdery. The other thing that I did want to mention is that this is really a musk-based fragrance, because what I pick up here is like a level 3 to 4 musk, which means that you are going to pick up on it. And it is not animalic though, so I wouldn't be too concerned about that, because the stars here are truly that note of rice and the sandalwood. But at that, this is a fragrance that you could wear for just about any occasion, day or night, for any season of the year. To me, this is unisex, but may lean like a tad to the feminine side. And the performance is really, really beautiful, because while it's not a beast mode fragrance in any kind of way, it does give me a full day wear to the tune of 7 to 8 hours, no more than that, without having to overspray. But it does give me a full day wear with a strong projection and a moderate sillage. This is a fragrance that you will sniff on yourself all day long. And I have to tell you, I do understand why this is a bestseller. And I know that these two are not going to be the last two that I pick up from this house, because I'm really, really enjoying it. Now, if you've never had a chance to try any of the Affinessence fragrances, this is your golden opportunity, because I will have, of course, a link and a discount code. So if you're interested, please give it at least a try, because I think you will be very, very impressed. The next fragrance that I have for you is also from Affinessence, and this one is called Cedra Iris. And I forgot to show you the bottle when I discussed with you Santal Basmati, so let me go ahead and show it to you now. Very, very sleek, very modern, just very streamlined packaging. Very kind of like minimalist. Well, let me tell you. So Cedra Iris, I love Santal Basmati, like really, but between the two, I really don't know which one to pick, because this one is for my true purple florals lovers. Like if you are into violet and iris, this is a must try fragrance, because as the name says it, this is all about like the cedar note and the iris. And at that, it is an iris that is done exquisitely. So needless to say, let's just get from the beginning that at the dry down, this is a powdery fragrance, but I find it to be very powdery, but not powdery to the point of being very cloying. I just thought to let you know that if you're not into powdery fragrances, then this one is one that you don't even want to try, because it is quite powdery at the dry down. Now, this is a fragrance that as soon as you sniff it, okay, forget the opening. As soon as you sniff it, you're going to get that floral presence, and it is strong. And for me, it's iris and like violet. It's not just like one. To me, it may even be a bouquet of purple florals, but they have only disclosed iris. At that, as soon as the fragrance opens, I do pick up on a tad of powderiness immediately. Now, very soon after that, the fragrance does become very ambery. And in that process, it's also like warm, spicy. It's not very spicy, but there is a warm, spicy, and ambery quality to the fragrance as you approach midway in the olfactory journey. I also, once I'm in the midpoint of that journey, I start to sniff on hints of woodiness, and the woodiness becomes more and more intense. But in that woodiness, what I clearly pick up is the note of oud. Now, the oud here is so smooth that you may not even pick it up, because this fragrance is really all about the iris and that woody note, and let's say cedar. But for me, it's that very strong present woodiness accompanied by that floral aspect, which is all about the iris. But within the woodiness, you are going to pick up on the oud. The oud is like a level 2, and it is so smooth. It's almost kind of like even faint. I do pick it up at the dry down very well, but it's not like it plays a key role, because that's not what the fragrance is about. Now, the beauty to me of this fragrance is that it has that iris and it has those woody notes, which are quite dominant. But the woody notes, in addition to that oud, there's like a smoky quality that comes to the fragrance at the dry down that is just unbelievable. That is what infuses the scent with like a very sophisticated, this is like the scent of like an intellectual kind of individual. This is the type of scent that when you wear it, people will probably describe you as a very interesting individual. Like, you know, you are going to awaken their curiosity because this is a fragrance that evokes that vibe immediately. The other thing about this fragrance that I absolutely love is that while I only get, you know, that 7 to 8 hour mark with Santal Basmati, with Cedra Iris, I get over 8 hours without having to overspray. I wouldn't say that it's full on beast mode, but I would say that at least on my skin, it does border that beast mode. And you are going to get an 8+ hour wear, with the first, I would say, a little bit over 2 hours being quite a strong projection, which is why you don't want to overspray. After that, it does become a scent bubble for like an additional maybe 90 minutes. And then after that, it just becomes a skin scent, but one that you will sniff on yourself all day long. To me, this is a 25+ kind of fragrance, so I think it's best suited for the ages of 25+. It does have oud, but I already told you the oud should not be a concern for you. It does not have any musk that I pick up on. And it is a fragrance that I think is perfect for any season of the year, for any occasion, day or night. What I love the most about this fragrance is that when I wear it, it does leave a trail. And that trail is quite interesting because it's like 3 feet, which is pretty impressive. So as you walk by, the scent will like linger behind you. And of course, this is definitely a fragrance that will pull attention. But at that, it is, like I said before, a very sophisticated and refined scent. But it just seems to me, from trying these two fragrances from Affinessence, it just seems to me that their fragrances are all about that smoothness, that present scent that you will be able to enjoy and others around you will be able to enjoy without being overpowering, overstated, or kind of like obnoxious, because there is nothing screechy in the olfactory journey of these fragrances, nor at the dry down. At the dry down, what you are getting is an exquisite blend. And in this one, what I get clearly at the dry down is like a smoky wood scent that has a very present floral to it, and it is powdery. I'm telling you, this is a fragrance that to me is completely unisex. I don't think this leans to the masculine or to the feminine side. And I really dare say that if you are an iris/violet lover, this is one you must get your nose on. Now, this next fragrance is from another fragrance house that is also, as I said in the opening, new to my collection. But I am going to tell you right now, of all of the fragrances that I'm sharing with you today, this one is beyond my favorite. This was a deep, deep love from first sniff. Honestly, from first sniff, I knew that I had encountered a masterpiece fragrance, because to me, that is what this is. And I'm speaking about Birkholz. They are the fragrance house. And from Birkholz, I'm talking about Versailles Tresor de Jardin. Here is the gorgeous bottle. Now, this is a fragrance, and actually, let me tell you, so this fragrance house is based out of Germany, and I had never tried any of their fragrances. I had heard about them from a couple of friends. I had done even some research, but I never came around to picking up a fragrance from this house. But I have to tell you, if this is the DNA of the house, I don't even know what to say, because when I tell you this is a masterpiece, this is an absolute masterpiece. So this is a fragrance that opens to my nose very much fresh, spicy. The freshness is coming from some citrusy notes, which you're going to pick up on clearly. You're not going to be able to say that it's bergamot or lemon, but I know it's one of those two, if not both, are involved in the opening. But it is a citrusy, fresh, spicy opening. But the note that is clear to my nose is the note of pink pepper. And in addition to the pink pepper, you are going to find other spicy notes. I just don't know what they are, but I can clearly pick up on the pink pepper. As the journey continues, the florals step in, and the only floral that I truly pick up is on the lavender. The lavender is very present. It's not dominant, but it's definitely very present. And I have to tell you that to me, the way that the lavender has been done here is the way that we find the lavender in like a Burberry Goddess or Libre, which means that the lavender is not a note that gives an accord to the fragrance that has it lean to the masculine side. Here, you're also going to find quite a bit of patchouli. I pick up on the patchouli as I approach the dry down, like midway in the olfactory journey, headed towards the dry down is when I start to pick up on the patchouli. And the patchouli to me is present, and it does give the fragrance a bit of earthiness. But I also find the vetiver. So it makes me wonder, is it the vetiver and or the patchouli that is giving the fragrance that earthiness, which by the way, gives it quite a bit of character. The other thing that I find very interesting is they have not disclosed the note of musk, but I'm going to tell you right now that the musk here is very present. This is a 3 to 4 level musk, with 1 being the least and 5 being the most. This is a definite level 3 to 4. So that means that you are going to pick up on the musk for sure. So you have to enjoy a musk-based fragrance to a certain extent in order to really appreciate the masterpiece of fragrance that this is. But I will also tell you that that musk is a tad animalic, which actually spins the fragrance into the next level of character, because this is a statement-making fragrance. It is not necessarily one that's going to announce you before you enter the room. It's not loud like that at all, but it is definitely a powerhouse and a statement-making fragrance. To me, this is completely unisex. It does not lean to the masculine or to the feminine side whatsoever. This is very much unisex, and a fragrance that I really think is only suited for the seasons of like fall, winter, and spring. I don't think that this is one that I would ever pull during the summer. As a matter of fact, now that I had to test it in preparation, to deliver this review for you, I had to make sure that it was on the days, where it was scheduled to be cool, or that I knew that I was going to be home. And, of course, my home is always cool, but this is a fragrance that you do not want to wear on a very, very hot summer day. This is perfection as we enter the fall season and for the winter and the spring. The other thing you need to know is that this fragrance is definitely a powerhouse, because without having to overspray, it gives me past the 8-hour mark with a very strong projection that does exceed the 90-minute mark, almost approaching 2 hours, and that's about it. And after that, it does give me a very, very present sillage. I mean, this will linger all day. You will catch your own trail. I mean, it's just very, very interesting. This is not a fragrance that I think is designed for like a very, very young individual, like early 20s. To me, this is more of a 25 plus kind of fragrance. And it is one that I also don't think is suited for the office, because this is a very bold and statement making kind of scent. To me, this is designed for like late afternoon into the evening, into late night kind of scent, not for you to wear for a very casual occasion earlier in the day. Now, it depends on your level of casual, right? Because sometimes I can dress casual and look like it's not a casual occasion that I'm going on. You could wear a pair of jeans with a beautiful pair of boots, and you could wear like a very nice sweater, and you could just spray this fragrance and you're dressed to go just about anywhere. But there's got to be a certain kind of vibe in order for this fragrance to really have its full effect, because the fragrance speaks to really being put together. That's what this fragrance is all about. All in all, of these first 3 fragrances that I have shared with you, this one is my favorite, because as I said before, to me, this is a masterpiece. And I can't wait to try other fragrances, because I'm curious to see if some of the things that I have picked up while wearing this one are like inherent to their DNA. Is that what the fragrance house really delivers consistently? But I am so happy with Versailles because oof, I am absolutely loving it. Let us know, have you tried any fragrance from this fragrance house from Birkholz? Have you tried any? Which ones? And what is it that you enjoy about it? Okay, so the next three fragrances that I'm going to cover for you are all from Banana Republic. And this is a new collection this year. And I was so curious to try these fragrances that, of course, I did request them from the So Avant-Garde team. But I have to be honest with you, I am a little bit disappointed, and let's talk more about it. So we're going to start with the first one that is a definite no-go for me. I'm going to tell you right now. And this one is Fresh Pear and Coconut. Now, I was very excited because Fresh Pear and coconut, I don't even think that I have any fragrance that really addresses those two notes as, you know, like the main notes of the fragrance, which I think is what they were trying to say here, that this would be all about a fresh pear and a coconut. But here's the thing about this fragrance, okay? And you guys know, if you've been with me for a while, you know how I really don't like to have to do this, but I have to tell you the truth of what I really think about this fragrance. So this is a fragrance that to me is number one, very soapy. Do I enjoy a soapy quality fragrance? Yes, to a certain extent. But here, this is soapy all the way. To me, when I wear this fragrance, which I've only been able to do it once because this is really not for me. When you wear this fragrance, you're going to smell like you just took like a shower and you used a very ornamented, very screechy smelling soap. And it's left that scent just all over, right? In your bathroom, on your skin. Yeah, so you're not even going to be able to put on another, to put on a fragrance because the soap has left you with all that scent. So you have to allow that to like dissipate a bit before you can even put on your fragrance. I do not enjoy that kind of experience. I do not enjoy that kind of soap. But here, in addition to that, I said, okay, well, it's a soapy quality fragrance, very soapy, very soapy. But what happens with all the other notes? So to me, this is a fragrance that from the opening to the dry down is very linear. That's the other thing that really disappointed me. And again, I was so looking forward to loving this one. Very linear. And I get a hint of the pear and I get nothing of the coconut. I just get a fruitiness that is sweet and I get that tad of a pear, and I almost immediately get a very present and not in a good way kind of jasmine. And if I dare say, I think there's other white florals here, but they have only, if I recall correctly, disclosed the note of jasmine. But jasmine is really what I pick up the most. And the jasmine is kind of heady and kind of screechy, just not a pleasant experience for me. Now, that may just be on my skin, that may just be to my nose, but I just have to tell you that this has not been a very good experience for me. So this is one that I really can't really recommend. But if you are interested, maybe it will not have that journey with you. I will leave it linked for you and a discount code. It is a very reasonably priced fragrance, but definitely not for me. So the next one that I want to discuss with you is also from the Banana Republic collection. And this one is called Marshmallow Lavender. And I forgot to share the bottle in the previous one. So let's see if I can just show it to you here. The bottle does have a weighty finish. I think that this is like a sticker, which is fine. It does look very nice. This is not a magnetic cap. The cap does not feel cheap. It has, very nice touches to it. I think that this will look really good on someone's vanity. And it is definitely one that I would consider if you are looking for a fragrance that is more of a gourmandish kind of scent. This is one that you may want to consider, but let's talk about it in more detail. So much like in the previous one, for me, this one is linear. I get the same thing in the opening that I get at the dry down. It does not give me much of an olfactory journey, but I must say that the scent is rather nice. To me, it's not a full-on gourmand fragrance, but it is definitely gourmandish. It is not going to make you smell like food, but there is something yummy to the scent, and I know that it's coming from that note of marshmallow, because all that I pick up in this fragrance is really like a sweetened tad roasted marshmallow with some floral presence, which is clearly to me the lavender. But the lavender is faint because to me, the star of this fragrance is definitely that roasted kind of marshmallow. This is a fragrance that from beginning all throughout the olfactory journey and throughout the wear of the fragrance gives me the exact same scent. This is a very musky fragrance, but it's not an animalic musk in any kind of way. There's nothing offensive about this fragrance. You could use it for any occasion, day or night. You could probably pull it off through any season of the year. I would just not use this on a very, very hot summer day, but this is definitely one that's pretty versatile. You can use it for any occasion, day or night, any season of the year. This is good for any age. You can take it to the office. I mean, really, when it comes to versatility, this is a very versatile fragrance. For me, it is a bear-like, and it has nothing to do with the scent because the scent is rather nice at the dry down and otherwise, but it's just very linear. It's just that I have other fragrances in my collection that bring this scent quality to the mix, but in a more complex way. So for me, I would say that this is the perfect fragrance for someone maybe starting their gourmand journey. Not because this is a full-on gourmand, as I said before, but because there's a certain extent of yumminess to it. At that, I want you to know that this is a very reasonably priced fragrance. So, I don't want to be too hard on it because I do think that it is nice. It is just not for me. As far as performance, this is giving me no more than 7 hours without having to overspray. It does have a strong projection during, I would say, the first 30 to 45 minutes. After that, it does become a skin scent, not very intimate, but a skin scent that will still allow you to sniff the fragrance throughout the day. And at that, it is a fragrance that I consider to be very much unisex, maybe leaning to the feminine side. But I can definitely see a gentleman wearing this fragrance. Now, this next one that I'm going to share with you is my favorite from this entire collection. And this one is a very, very strong like. It's not a deep love, but it is definitely a fragrance that I think you should give a try if you are into these notes and some of the things that I'm going to discuss with you. And this one is called Sandalwood and Musk. And this is the bottle. Now, Sandalwood and Musk is one that as soon as I sniffed it, I knew that this one was going to be a like for me. It immediately made me open my eyes bright, and there is just a brightness to this fragrance that I can't explain. Now, I'm going to tell you right now that to me, this is truly a unisex fragrance. It does not lean to the feminine or to the masculine side whatsoever. And I did ask others, like my husband and my daughter, what they thought about this because, this is truly, to me, unisex. And they definitely agree. This is a fragrance that I can see a gentleman or a lady wearing without any kind of problem. But let's talk about the journey of this fragrance. So this is a fragrance that opens immediately, very woody, very, very woody, and with a floral presence. That floral presence will remain with the fragrance. This one is not linear like the others, but it's not like you're going to get a lot of exchanges in the olfactory journey. You're not going to pick up on different things, different accords much, but it is not completely linear. But it does open very, very woody and to a certain extent powdery. At the dry down, the fragrance is definitely powdery, which makes me wonder if there's iris and violet in that very present floral presence that I pick up, and they just didn't disclose it because that's a possibility. In addition to that, the fragrance has a touch of earthiness. And I really don't know where it's coming from because I know that within the woody notes, we have sandalwood and we have cedar, but there's an earthiness here that to me speaks of patchouli. And I tried to see if I could pick up on patchouli, but I don't think there's patchouli here. But the fragrance, the scent itself has a tad of earthiness to it, which adds to the allure of the fragrance. I tell you, there's a bit more complexity in this one than in the first two that I shared with you for sure. At the dry down, the fragrance is very much ambery on a very strong woody background. And it does have that floral presence where you are going to get different florals, but you're not really going to be able to distinguish. I really can't tell you which is the specific floral, but because of that powdery dry down, I do wonder if there's iris and or violet here within those florals that I pick up. I even question if there was maybe some lavender here because I kind of picked that up, but I'll leave it with what they disclosed. Now, this fragrance is very musky. It's to the tune of a 3 to a 4, which means you are going to pick up on the musk at the dry down for sure. And it's not a musk that is animalic in any kind of way. There's really nothing offensive about this fragrance, but it does perform very, very nicely. It does give me a 7-hour wear without having to overspray, a strong projection of about a half hour to 45 minutes. And it's pretty much consistent with the other two that I shared with you before when it comes to performance. It's also a fragrance that I think that is good for any age, for any occasion, but this one for me is strictly for the early spring, fall, and winter. This is not for a hot day whatsoever. It's just a bit much for a hot day. All in all, of the three, this one is definitely my favorite, and I do recommend that you at least try it. I think that for the price point, you are getting a very, very nice scent. Is it like my favorite from the group that we've discussed today? No, it is not. If I had to rank them, I would definitely start with the Versailles fragrance, and then I would go into probably Cedra Iris, and then into the Basmati Santal, because those three are fragrances that if you could try them in any kind of way, please try to get your nose on them, because I am telling you. But anyway, so those are the fragrances that I wanted to share with you today, and I hope that this was enjoyable for you. As always, I will have a link and a discount code in the description box for you if you're interested in trying any of these fragrances. I'd be very curious to hear your opinion if you've tried any of the Banana Republic fragrances, because typically when I deliver, if you've been with me for a while, you know that if I deliver a review that is not a good one, it's because I really felt that I had to speak about it, because if not, I just won't bring it to the channel. And, you know, I just felt like, you know, I don't want the fam to pick up this fragrance without knowing what I'm really getting. So, but anyway, let us know if you've tried any of the Banana Republic fragrances or any of the other three. And as always, thank you so much for hanging with me today, and I will see you all in the next video.